Alright, what is up, YouTube? It's K-Rod here. I'm back with another good video for today, for boxing content. Let's get right to it, man. I'm gonna be talking about Mr. Terence Bud Crawford. He is now in a really tight predicament, as the WBO ordered Shawn Porter to be Terence Crawford's mandatory. So before any of you Bud Dick Riders come into the comment section trying to tell me, K-Rod, that's not true. Terence Bud Crawford had Shawn Porter as his mandatory, and Shawn Porter already activated it, and therefore he can't have the WBO, mandatory spot anymore. So the WBO just chose, the WBO took Shawn Porter out of the mandatory position to replace Virgil Ortiz instead of having Shawn Porter as the mandatory. So he's not really Bud's mandatory anymore, blah blah blah. And that right there is bullshit. The WBO had made up their mind in the first place to use Shawn Porter as a mandatory, and as of recently the WBO, I guess, made that final call decision to activate or order the fight. So therefore, Terence Crawford can make his title defense, because he was going to defend his title against Jose Zepeda, which it made absolutely no fucking sense whatsoever. So to all you Bud fans saying, oh, Terence Crawford, he didn't need to fight Shawn Porter because Shawn Porter gave up his mandatory position, that is not fucking true. Shawn Porter already said, I am the mandatory. I'm number one in the WBO for Terence Crawford. We just have to wait on a call from the WBO to get this fight going. And that is basically what happened. They asked him, hey, Shawn Porter, this is a WBO. We see that you are clearly ready for a Terence Crawford fight for our 147-pound championship title. Do you like to have us make you? Yeah, do you like to have us make you the mandatory? Shit. Do you like to have us to make you the mandatory, for the title, or do you want us to give you the mandatory activation, for the belt? And I'm sure Shawn Porter said yes, and then the WBO moved forward with Shawn Porter being Terence Crawford's mandatory. So now the WBO had told Terence Crawford and his team that they have no more than 30 days to decide on a proper, contractual offer to be made, or else it will go to purse bid. And the purse bid, traditional rules is that the champion gets 80% and the challenger gets 20%, which is absolutely garbage. But I guess those stipulations have changed of having let the purse splits to be 60-40 instead of 80-20. So that's good on that behalf. And I'm actually happy that is happening, because nobody shouldn't have to be paid that shitty of a purse, especially for a world title fight. And especially if the champion's team does not want to work a proper deal to make sure, that the money's going to be handled. And I'm sure Bob Arum, he's not going to pay for anything. And Bud's team is definitely not giving up any money, because, Terence Crawford, he got to use all that bread for his children. No disrespect no disrespect towards his family, but it's like, he says that it's not about money, but no, it's not about money, but it's about legacy. But now, fast or previous, or basically rewind that a couple months back, he was trying to work hard to get the Manny Pacquiao fight through Bob Arum. And then when Manny Pacquiao threw that fight into the garbage, or actually no, when Terence Crawford threw that into the garbage, he said, "Oh no, I'm not gonna take the Manny Pacquiao fight because the contractual details stated that it didn't look right, and then my trainer Bomac told me told me not to sign it, knowing that Terence Crawford, he was gonna get $10 million, and then Manny Pacquiao was going to get $40 million. So it was an 80-20 purse split, in Manny's favor, because Manny will always be the A side over him because he has more pay-per-view numbers. And on top of that, Terence Crawford does not have anything to bring to the table as far as having a large fan base, for the fight. So Manny Pacquiao did everything in his power to say, okay, you want me to fight you? I'll fight you, but Bomac basically, killed the fight. So Terence Crawford, voluntarily ducked Manny Pacquiao because of money. But wait, I thought Terence Crawford fans, were telling me that, Terence Crawford doesn't care about money. It's all about legacy. But now it's like, when it comes to Shawn Porter, this is now a legacy fight. But Terence Crawford, how the hell is he going to make sure this purse split is going to be splitted properly? Because now, when you really think about it, it's going to be very difficult for Crawford to make a defense to say, Shawn Porter doesn't deserve to fight me because I'm still trying to find more bigger fish, to fry. And instead of facing Shawn Porter, get his mandatory out the way, and then, have some balls to actually unify with Errol Spence, because Errol Spence wants to fight Terence Crawford, but Terence Crawford is obviously showing that he's ducking Errol Spence. But it's like, why the hell would you go up to 147 anyway, when you knew that, Errol Spence was going to take over, his whole division, and then you don't ever make the move to go after like a guy like Keith Thurman or Danny Garcia or Shawn Porter. You could have easily gone after any champion at the time, especially at the time when Errol Spence got his IBF against Kell Brook, when he beat that ass against Kell Brook. He could have easily fucking went after Keith Thurman, or he could have just went after Errol Spence because he was undisputed from 140, and it made all the sense in the world to do that. But no, Mr. Terence Crawford decided to be an absolute retard, go after Mr. Jeff Horn, a guy who barely beat Manny Pacquiao, a guy who does not have a name. He's just some white bum from Australia. No disrespect to Jeff Horn. He seems like a pretty chill guy, but it's like, just to be honest, it's just like Crawford, he just wanted like an easy way out. He did not want to go through all the nitty gritty to face a guy like Keith Thurman, because if he faced Keith Thurman, guess who else would have been next in line to face him? It would have been Errol Spence. It would have been Danny Garcia. It would have been Mikey Garcia. It would have been Shawn Porter. It would have been fucking whoever, Jamal James. It would have been Yordenis Ugas. It's like Crawford knew coming up to 147 is a whole nother ball game, and yet he thinks that, okay, if this is my end of the road, I might as well just go out with like a bang. So why not, face, the best competition at 147 if you know that you're going to possibly lose to one of these guys at 147? Because it makes no goddamn sense to hold off a fight or hold off all these big fights at 147, wait for that one boogeyman out of your division to leave, and then what, you're going to go for undisputed? Fuck no, man. Now it just shows that Terence Crawford, he's now fucked, and now Shawn Porter is going to press this fight as much as possible. And if Shawn Porter beats him, that's gonna tarnish his whole career. But this is Crawford's toughest opponent to date, so I think stylistically, Terence Crawford is going to have a lot of tools in the bag. I think his size is going to be the massive disadvantage here, because Shawn Porter, he is the shorter and he's like the shorter but much bigger guy coming into the fight. But when it comes to Crawford, he obviously has the longer arms, height and reach advantage. But I think it's going to be size that's going to play a factor into this fight, and it'll be interesting to see what will happen into the future, because I think what Crawford is trying to do is that he's trying so hard to keep these fights as simple as possible, and he's trying to duck as much as he wants. And I don't see how that's going to work out for him, because you have a lot of unfinished business at 147, and I'm sure a lot of guys, including all the new fighters that are coming up, like Jaron Ennis, Virgil Ortiz, Rashidi Speedy Ellis, or Speedy Rashidi Ellis. All these other guys all these other guys want to take your head off. So I think what Crawford needs to do, he needs to cut the bullshit and just take this fight with Shawn Porter. And I mean, if Crawford ducks Shawn Porter, I'm gonna be laughing. I'm going to literally be shitting on Terence Crawford for the next couple of weeks, if not months, or probably like the whole entire year. And I'm going to clout chase over that. I'm gonna say I duck Shawn Porter, and I'll just say hashtag Bud ain't the smoke. Yeah, something like that. I don't know, but I just think like where things are going in boxing, especially at 147, it's like Bud is like the only fighter out of the whole division that chooses not to fight anyone, and he's holding up, the WBO, slot for having that world title. And I just think that the game breaker will be Shawn Porter defeating Terence Crawford by brutal stoppage. I have it in the 8th round, if not less, because I don't see Terence Crawford handling Shawn Porter's, pressure. Shawn Porter is like a Mike Tyson-ish fighter that fights a lot on the inside, but he could box on the outside too, but his inside, destructive, dirty fighting ability is what makes him, the better fighter, per se. But I don't see how Shawn Porter really loses unless Crawford hits him and gets him, off balance to, lose at the fight. And I don't see how that can work out. But that's pretty much all I got for y'all. Be sure to like, rate, and hate, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see y'all later, man. Appreciate y'all. Bye.